Two poems by Robert Frost. My very dear students of class 10 who study poems in your English textbook titled First Flight in Vernacular Medium Schools under SEBA. I would love to help you to understand your prescribed poems even though I cannot physically bring myself inside of your presence. The first two prescribed poems written by the American poet Robert Frost, namely Dust of Snow and Fire and Ice, are couched in a soft diction that carries underlying meaning. For the time being, I restrict myself to explaining the significance of only these two poems. The first poem, Dust of Snow, Dust of Snow, depicts how in the morning on a certain day the poet experiences a subtle but welcome change of mood from his perhaps overnight sense of unease to comparative ease of mind, from his sense of cold indifference to perhaps a hopeful frame of mind. The focus of the poem is on the lucky process of change of the poet's mind and heart, and the change has been effected by the rural ambience of the poet's existence. As the poet walks in the wintry morning under the American hemlock tree of dubiously poisonous and medicinal substance, a crow perched in the tree flaps its wings and shakes down on the poet some dust of snow. And mysteriously, a change has been brought about in the poet's mind from his earlier sluggishness to motivated pursuit of daily duty. The dark bird, crow, is a glad harbinger of the bright light of day. As day breaks, it shakes off the dust of snow to take wing. The poet, as it were, takes his cue from the bird and shrugs off overnight sluggishness of body and mind. In Dust of Snow, the very popular modern American poet Robert Frost does not celebrate a great change of season like the spring or summer, a seasonal change that causes collective joy and happiness. The poem does not mention beautiful summer trees like a maple or an oak or a pine, nor does it mention birds of song of the spring season like a cuckoo or a nightingale. The poet is situated in an indifferent ambience of wintry cold which is very common in the Western Hemisphere. The tone of the poem is not at all collective, but very personal, and the poet's overall mood or frame of mind is introspective. The modern American poet indirectly admits that he has got to strive each morning lest his poet's art slides to a general lack of interest and enthusiasm for a whole day, and hence has to rue the day by night. But the reader understands that, thank God and his rural ambience, most of his days are luckily changed from a sense of unwelcome moroseness to comparative liveliness, and his mind and heart are mostly embalmed in warmth and poetry. The second poem, Fire and Ice, is one that, with very economical and poetic use of language, conveys a great lot of philosophical understanding and ethical realization. The poem begins with a statement of a geological prediction about Mother Earth. Mother Earth may eventually fail to maintain the critical rate of conservation of heat received from the sun, and hence end up in either a heat death or a cold death, a death by fire or by ice. This scientifically predicted process, however, takes immeasurably long stretches of geologic time. But the poet is obviously more concerned about his contemporary sociological time, when also, he thinks, the fire of human ambition or the ash of human apathy is dangerously in operation. In the outside world of international politics, the modern American poet of the 20th century witnessed, for sure, the destruction of land and people, far and near, caused by the fire of political ambition of dictators and warmongers. In this short poem, however, the poet doesn't make the slightest mention of politics and warfare. The poet says instead that he is personally wary of the psychic fire of desire. The poet is self-analytical, and he indicates that if he hadn't restrained the psychic fire of his own unruly desire, it would have very likely destroyed himself as well as others that may be the object of his desire. The poet implicitly compares desire and hate of the human heart to respectively heat and ice of Mother Nature. To the poet, hate means ice-like insensitivity to the plight of fellow human beings, an attitude of an individual's mind that may lead to general apathy and loss of the sense of entire humanity as a whole. My very dear young students of poetry, in the end, I have to say something to you about poetry in general. Poetry is certainly written about some piece of objective or external reality, either physical or social. But please bear in mind that poetry is a piece of writing which is more marked by its underpinning of inner consciousness of the poet. When you comprehend the inner consciousness of the author of a certain poem, you genuinely understand the poem in its entirety. Thank you.